Do you sell online? Do you want to know how to succeed in 2023? Then join our WAPI community and learn about trends, tips, and secrets of e-com world. Our speakers are international experts and leading providers of e-com services. Join us and deepen your knowledge in e-commerce. And yes, the webinars are free. Hi everybody, it's WAPI Webinars again with you, and I'm glad to announce that today my guest is Leonard. Hi Ben.
Hey, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you very much that you're joining us today. So Ben is an e-commerce consultant and co-founder of EcomBrokers. He has also successfully scaled and exited his own e-com brand, and now he still operates his brand and help other brand owners to optimize and successfully sell their businesses. Is this all correct, right? It's all about you?
Correct. That is me. You haven't got the wrong guy.
That's wonderful. So Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you appear in ecom world? How did you come to ecom world? Your story.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a big accident.
Okay.
I grew up in a town in Scotland called Aberdeen, and it is an oil town, oil and gas industry. And I originally qualified as an ecologist. My interest, because of the lovely countryside and all the nice nature where I live, was in ecology. So I wound up working in oil and gas as the guy who tells the oil guys that they can't throw chemicals in the sea.
Okay.
But something big happened in 2016. I got a heart problem. I'm fine now, but I had to take time off work to get better, and I had to take time off my fitness hobbies to get better. So while I was recovering, I started for fun a brand of fitness equipment. And it turned out I was quite good at that. And I grew that business to a point that we were doing about $6 million in sales. And then I sold it. And now I am building new brands because I love it. It's fun. I know how to develop a brand into something that I can sell. And I'm helping other people with the consulting, and I'm helping people sell their business with EcomBrokers. So that's
what about ecology?
What about ecology? I still love it.
Who is now taking care of ecology if you're not doing it?
Don't worry, they've got it covered. But yeah, so I'm still interested in that kind of stuff, not professionally, but one day when I'm finished with building brands, I'm gonna get back into that. I'm gonna apply entrepreneurial skills to environmental conservation. But that's not for another 10 or 15 years yet.
We need your help now because we're now in Italy with my son, and there is like no snow. It's February. It looks like May. The hills, the hills. Like I see the grass. You know.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like winter.
Yeah, not even I can fix that. I'm sorry.
But this is the question of ecology.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, the very nice story. Thank you. So I know that you have prepared something for us today.
Yep.
Our topic today is how to make your e-commerce business sellable and valuable. And if you're ready, I would give you the stage, and we would love to hear what you have for us today.
Absolutely. Let me share it with you. Okay. So how to make your e-commerce business sellable and valuable. Another way of putting that is to talk about the power of brand, because brand is the foundation of making your business sellable and valuable. It is the foundation of a great exit. So let's rock and roll. So a little bit about us. I know that we just had a chat about that, but that brand that I mentioned that I grew to $6 million, that was a fitness brand called Beast Gear. And now I'm still building brands. So what helps is that I've been there and done it. A lot of people in this space are trying to educate on these topics, but they've never done it themselves. So when I'm helping people plan their exit, I kind of know what they're feeling. And my co-founder, Allison, she helped me sell my first business. She's got more than 20 years mergers and acquisitions experience, and she is an e-commerce specialist accountant. So together we formed EcomBrokers. And we're helping people sell their businesses globally. We're sellers, we're exiteers, we've had our own exits, we're mergers and acquisitions experts, we're accountants, we're ex-Amazonians, ex-KPMG, ex-aggregators, marketers.
Wow.
So a lot of
How
people
many
ask
how
this.
many how many people are in the team?
So the core team is three: me, Allison, and John. So John
Okay.
is our North American deal director. He's ex-Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
ex-KPMG, and he was at one of the big aggregators called Forum Brands.
Mm-hmm.
And then Allison's accountancy firm has about 15 or 20 people who we leverage for our number crunching.
Okay, cool.
So a lot of people ask this question: why sell your e-commerce business? That is the wrong question. Correct question is why make your e-commerce business sellable? The reason that is the wrong question is because ultimately you're going to sell it. You can't keep doing this forever. There has to be a time when you stop, either because you don't want to do it anymore, or it's time to retire. Maybe you're going to need the
Mm-hmm.
money for a new project. Most of the people who we work with they come to me and they say, Ben, I'm really excited about this new idea. Every morning I wake up and I'm excited about this new idea, but I can't start it until I unlock all the money stored in my existing business. So I need to sell it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe you want to sail around the world. We literally have a client whose business we sold, he's sailing around the world. Or maybe you want to live a life of leisure. I think that would be quite boring, but
Yeah.
that's what some people want to do. Maybe you recognize your business is almost peaked and it's time to sell it now while you're still growing before you max out the growth. Or maybe it's just time to move on, right? You don't have the time or the inclination to do it anymore. You don't have the resources to scale it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you recognize that your business is in demand and you could sell it for quite a lot. You recognize it could be valued for a high value. So why plan now? Some people will be watching this and they're saying, but I actually don't want to sell it for another 2 years. Why plan now? Well, the answer is you can't just wake up and decide to sell your business immediately. There's going to be work to do, right? So you can wake up now, though, and decide to prepare so that you are in a good spot to sell it when that time comes. If you then wake up one day in the future and say, I want to sell, you're going to have a plan ready that you can implement, and your business is going to be sellable. It's going to be in a state which is going to be in a good condition to take the market. I like to say it like this, right? Orienteering without a map is not a good idea. So you need to understand what your business is worth now, and this gives you the foundations of a plan, right? Where to go from here. And then you work with an expert to make the business sellable and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And this means you know what you're dealing with when ultimately the e-commerce aggregators are going to come to you and say, hey, we want to buy your business. So let's talk about what's going on in the mergers and acquisition space in e-commerce, because it's been a crazy couple of years. In 2020, 2021, a lot of businesses were selling for a lot of money. And that all changed.
Mm-hmm.
2022 was a tough year for sellers. And it's still pretty tough now. So why? What's been happening? Well, sales have been falling, right? The COVID shopping spree is over. A lot of the buyers and the investors in the buyers banked on the COVID shopping spree staying. And that's why they were spending crazy money in 2020, acquiring all these pretty terrible, oftentimes, businesses for very high multiples.
Mm-hmm.
Costs have been rising. We know that, right? Production costs have been going up. It's difficult if you're in e-commerce. We have a supply and demand issue. We're still seeing factory closures in places like China and Vietnam, and we're still seeing a backlog. Even if the factory is open, there's a big backlog because they were shut for so long. So that has put costs up because we don't have the supply, but we do have the demand. And we all know what happened with shipping costs, especially in 2022. They're now coming down again, which is great, but that has hurt sellers. And the competition continues to rise, right? There's more and more people selling on e-commerce every day, which is great. We want people to become entrepreneurs, but it's harder because there's more and more sellers and they're all getting smarter. It used to be easy in the past. You would listen to a podcast or watch a webinar like this, learn some hack, and then you'd be ahead of your competition for the next several months. But it's not like that anymore. Fewer and fewer hacks available. The loopholes are being shut. It's now more about who can build the more sustainable brand and the more legitimate consumer packaged goods brand. And the buyers, that's the aggregators, or most of the aggregators, have had this sudden reflection that this is harder than we thought. We need to get our act together. they've lacked the operational capability and they've lacked the foresight. They didn't know that the production costs were going to go up so much, the shipping costs were going to go up so much. They didn't know that Amazon was going to become such a tough platform to play on. They were buying businesses which worked, for example, on Amazon or worked in the old macroeconomic environment. And when the economic environment changed and when Amazon became harder and harder because of tighter rules, more reliance on pay-per-click, and more competition, those brands didn't work. So suddenly they, rather than buying businesses, they needed to focus on getting their act together. So as a result, multiples are down because buyers are not buying so much, right? It's now a buyer's market. They don't have to buy. They don't want to buy as much.
So what are the multiples now?
Well, that's an interesting topic. I'll get to that in a moment because multiples is a sexy topic and everybody wants to know what's the multiple. The answer is it depends, right?
Okay.
Let me explain that in a moment. So deal volume is down. They're paying less. They're also paying less often. They're not doing as many deals. And they're not happy to pay for risky businesses anymore. And their investors are not happy for that. And whereas previously due diligence used to be like 30 days, now it's more like 45 to 70 or more days. And a letter of intent, which is basically a letter that says we intend to buy your business, please enter into a due diligence period with us, is more carefully considered now. Oftentimes we would put a deal in front of a buyer and they'd submit an LOI in 2 days. Now it's taking a few weeks before they'll submit an LOI. To answer your question on multiples, I mean, I'm going to deal with it a little bit later, but the answer is it depends. So to give you a general answer, 3 to 4, 4.5. But to give you some specific examples as to why it depends, we recently sold a business doing 200,000 in profit for more than 5x. On the other hand, we have recently sold a business doing 500,000 in profit for just over 3x. And the reason for that is that they were very different businesses with different strengths and weaknesses, different levels of risks, different levels of year-on-year growth, different growth potentials, different reasons that the buyers wanted to buy them. So it's not as straightforward as somebody saying, oh, I'm going to get 5x from my business.
My question was because you're saying that 2 years ago, the multiples were higher.
Yeah.
So
yes.
what were 3 to 5?
Were.
They were even more?
Even higher. We were seeing pretty terrible businesses selling for 4, 5, 6x. Because the reason for that is that the buyers were, they were able to get money so cheaply because of the macroeconomic environment. They could get debt incredibly cheaply. That their business model was buy as much as you can, as fast as you can, and see what sticks. Build your portfolio quickly so that you can go and raise even more money. It was cash flow arbitrage, right? It was buy businesses for a low multiple, and then when they're rolled up, they sit in your portfolio at a much higher multiple. And when you sell it, even if you don't manage to grow the profit that much on that business, the multiple has gone up sufficiently that you're going to make a profit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what's going on. But let's talk about brand and why brand is the foundation of a great exit, right? What is a brand? First of all, there's lots of definitions. Some people think it's a logo. Some people think it's a trademark. Here's what I think a brand is. I think a brand is a suite or a group of related products that solve problems for a particular group of people. That could be knitters, that could be boxers, that could be photographers. So therefore, does that mean we just buy a bunch of products for knitters or boxers or photographers and slap a logo on it? No, we don't do that. That's not good enough. We still need to develop quality products that genuinely serve a purpose and solve a problem. And we need to develop a brand identity, which is branding, right? And branding is how you make people feel about your brand. And for most people, most brands, they're going to want their customers to be loyal, maybe excited and proud about your brand, excited to receive your latest product in the mail, excited that you're going to launch your next product, maybe even love your brand, fiercely defend your brand. You know, some people have Nintendo tattoos or Harley Davidson tattoos, right? That's real brand loyalty. So how do we do that? How do we make people feel that way about our brand? That's marketing. Brand and branding is how you make people feel. Marketing is how you tell them about it. So you could have the coolest brand in the world in theory, but if you don't tell anyone about it, no one knows about it. That's why marketing is more important than branding. If no one knows your brand, no one's going to buy from you. It's kind of like if a tree falls over in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a noise. Well, if you have the best brand in the world and you haven't told anyone about it, it may as well not exist. So the question then is, well, how do I strengthen my brand and market it? If this is what matters, how do I do it? You need to think like Pinocchio. Pinocchio said, I want to be a real boy. We need to say, I want to be a real business. Because a lot of people, they treat e-commerce like a game, like a side hustle. And I think the reason they do that is because it is so accessible. You know, we live in a time when an ecologist like me was able to become a successful e-commerce business owner because of all the free and cheap tools available. I was able to contact manufacturers on the other side of the planet. I was able to develop a website. I was able to import products, market and brand them despite having no business marketing or branding experience. And so I think because it is relatively easy to get into, people don't treat it like a real business. And because it's all done on our computers, people treat it like a game. It's not enough to just like have an Amazon account or a Shopify site and a trademark and call yourself a brand. You have to ask yourself, what do your favorite brands have and do? How do they look and feel and behave? So what are your favorite hobbies and interests? Pick your favorite brand, maybe your favorite food product in your food cupboard, that brand, and say to yourself, what do they do? And how can I do that? And they learn about their customers. They build a customer avatar and they reflect that in the brand avatar. Now, those are two deep subjects. We could do whole webinars on that, customer and brand avatars. But basically, you want to make your brand reflect who your ideal customer wants to be. So going back to our example of the knitter, maybe they want to be a creative knitter. Maybe the boxer wants to be a knockout boxer, or the photographer wants to be a skilled photographer. Now, it's way too deep to get into customer avatars and branding. In this webinar, we're talking about exits. So go to that address, benleonard.pro/avatars. There's nothing for sale. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to put in anything at all. It's just there's a bunch of YouTube videos there about avatars, right? That's going to help you.
Cool.
Okay, so let's bring this back to the topic of
Thank you very much for watching our webinars. I hope you like it. So my company WAPI is creating all of this, and I'll take my chance and tell you a little bit more about WAPI. If you're selling something, for example, you're selling wonderful sunglasses, you live in Italy and the Italian market is full of your sunglasses and everybody is very happy. So now you want to go global, you want to go international. So what you need to find the right sales channel, and then you need to send all these products to your customers. That's where WAPI comes in. We have integrated a huge amount of sales channels. We have huge amount of partners, service providers in ecom that will help you to expand to any country where you want. Send us an email, ask your question. Our key account manager will help you to grow your business to a new level. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you that you subscribe and stay tuned.
Why this matters for your exit. Well, what do we do with this? We make it the essence of all of our marketing material, our brand voice, our imagery, our email marketing, our social media content, right? We build this brand avatar. We make sure it is consistent throughout everything we do related to our brand. And the reason this matters is this, right? This diagram is the 7 foundations of value. It is the 7 things that at EcomBrokers we teach people to think about while they are building their business. And right in the middle is defensibility. And a really important part of defensibility is brand identity. And that's why it matters so much.
What is it, defensibility?
It is when somebody wants to buy your business, one of the questions they're going to ask themselves is, should I buy this or could I just make it myself? And if the answer is, I could just make it myself, then your business isn't very defensible and you've got work to do. But if you have a strong brand identity with tons of brand assets and legions of raving fans who want to buy everything from your brand, and you've protected that with trademarks and patents, then that's much more defensible.
Okay.
So the 7 foundations of value, just quickly, are then timing. You want to sell your business when it's growing, but it hasn't maxed out. Stability. You want to be selling in a favorable niche, not participating in any black hat strategies. Your business needs to be highly transferable, which means that it is well documented with systems and processes, and you've got great record keeping of all your financials and tax. It's defensible, as I said. It's diversified. You're not relying on one channel or one market or 1 or 2 products, SKUs, or one traffic source. You've got fantastic suppliers, because when a buyer buys your business, they're buying your relationship with the supplier, so they don't want to get in bed with a bad supplier. And your business is highly efficient, so it's probably very automated, and you probably have a team helping you run things, okay?
And this is the point when I always think, when you build all of this, why do you need to sell the business? Like, of course, all the buyers and investors, they want to find this business, but I just don't understand at the point it takes a huge amount of years to build all these 7 and build it very good and very strong. And when they're already built, it means that this business will just work. You can just receive profits every month and every year and go and have a leisure life, like you said. Why to sell it?
Well, it's not as simple as that. So first of all, you don't necessarily have to sell it. The reason to sell would be coming back to what I mentioned at the start of the presentation. All the money you're going to make from your business, more than 50%, probably somewhere between 60 and 70%, will come the day that you sell it. So a good business has got a lot of value locked into it. And there's going to come a day where you want to get at that. For some people, it'll be sooner. For some people, it will be later. And it depends. You might want the money for a new project, or it could be that actually you have other circumstances in your life that mean you want to sell the business. But it's also worth remembering that 2 points. One, you mentioned, it can take years to do this. I grew my business to $6 million in 3 years. So it's not necessarily going to take you that long. And so a lot of entrepreneurs that we work with, they build, sell, right? The joy is in the building and the launching, and then they don't want to be the person that takes it to the next step. And so then the next part that you said there was, it will just run itself and you can relax. That just unfortunately isn't true. You have to keep running very, very fast just to stand in one place, because e-commerce is such a fast moving world. The rules are changing, the technology is changing, platforms are changing, the competition is changing. It's so dynamic. It's really hard work running an e-commerce business, a successful one. And for a lot of people, they're just done and they want to unlock all that stored value that they built into it.
Okay, understood.
So the next diagram I want to show you, the value pyramid. If the 7 foundations of value is what you want to think about while you're building your business, the value pyramid is what you want to think about as you get very close to an exit, because this is what a buyer cares about. A buyer wants to buy a business with a strong brand identity that is growing and has got growth potential, is low risk, is highly transferable, so they can pick it up and drop it into their existing system, and is well documented. And brand is at the base of the pyramid. You can sell your business with probably 3 of these layers being in a good state. But to really maximize your exit, you need a strong brand. And here's why, right? Some people will be saying, well, why does it matter? I've got this business. I sell random stuff on Amazon. There's no brand identity. Why does brand matter? Here's why. With no brand identity, there's no hook or excitement. You don't have fans waiting for the mailman to deliver your package. There's no following, no repeat custom, no word of mouth, no social, no pride in using your products. My first brand, Beastgear, the one I sold, there was a lot of value stored in the brand. Every time I launched a product, it got easier because I had legions of fans who wanted to buy my products. I would have people who, they would wait until my new product was out to buy it, even though they could just buy a competitor, because they had to have Beastgear. We had cult-like followings of fans. If it was just a generic Acme fitness brand, there would have been no value in that. The Beastgear was everything, right? Because remember what buyers want. Buyers want sustainability, growth potential, intellectual property, and repeat custom. Brand gives you this, right? Generic stuff does not. So here's a worked example, right? Let's look at some numbers if people really want to talk about why this matters. We had two businesses, both doing about $450,000 in sellers' discretionary earnings. It is beyond the scope of this webinar to talk about sellers' discretionary earnings and EBITDA. So let's just pretend, for people that aren't familiar with sellers' discretionary earnings, let's just pretend that's profit. Let's just say their last 12 months profit was 450 grand. We had two businesses. One, well, hold on, let me back up. Two businesses in the same niche selling virtually the same stuff. One had a strong brand identity, one had a weak brand identity. The strong brand sold for 5.55x. The weak brand sold for 3.2x. That means that was a $1,057,500 difference. Okay, and that's just at the time of sale. If you then put that in a low medium stocks and shares portfolio, low medium risk at say 8% interest, it's worth $1.5 million after 5 years and over $2.25 million after 10 years. So this stuff really does matter. For those who think it doesn't matter, I can just sell stuff on the internet and then exit my business. Not only when you try to exit, not only will you get a much lower multiple, you might not get any multiple because people don't just want to buy random stuff. And I want to show you some tangible examples now. So let's take a look at, I said earlier in the presentation, I said, think about your favorite brands. One of my favorite brands is Elgato. Okay, so Elgato, they make electric equipment for podcasters, gamers, that kind of thing. And this is their website, okay? And what I wanted to do was take a look at what they're doing versus what someone generic is doing. So I searched on Amazon for Elgato Camlink 4K, which is an Elgato product, okay? And as it happens, there's a big ad up here for Elgato's products. So good, they're taking advantage of that. Let's look at the Elgato Camlink, the real one, and let's look at a fake one. First thing you notice is that Elgato have got their brand name right at the front of their title. So they're really playing on their brand identity. Second thing you'll notice is that these other guys don't even have their brand name. They just have video capture card. Okay. So the purpose of this webinar is not to like break down an Amazon listing, but I am going to point out a few good points, right? It's a good listing with consistent branding across it, consistent use of color schemes, and nice use of lifestyle images in there, right? We'll just mention that and not really go much deeper other than to say that they're using all the tools available on Amazon to show off their brand, which is great. But then if we look at this knockoff version, the listing is quite good in terms of the images are kind of nice, right? They basically, people can come in and look at this afterwards on their own. Just search Elgato Camlink 4K and Amazon. They basically ripped off the Elgato listing, right? Good for them. But can you imagine how much better they would do if they had built a brand? So if I click on their brand name, they don't have a branded storefront. They're just selling random stuff. In fact, if I click on the name of the business, this is the business, some random Chinese name. And if I look at their storefront, that's it. They just sell 4 or 5 versions of the exact same thing. So there's no opportunity there to cross-sell and upsell and actually add any value into the business. Whereas Elgato actually has a store where they're using all the opportunities that they can to make me buy more of their stuff. They look, feel, and behave like a legitimate consumer packaged goods brand. If we look at, for instance, their website, what do brands do? They provide helpful, compelling, useful, engaging information that makes me know, like, and trust the business and want to buy from them. I encourage people to come and browse their website and see how they're doing this. They're just making me want to buy more from them. If we look at their Instagram feed, we can see that they've got 500,000 followers. I guarantee that these guys don't have an Instagram feed. Happy so, right? If we look at Elgato's YouTube channel, we can see that they're creating content to help me as a creator who uses this kind of equipment to learn. They're providing helpful, engaging, useful information that makes me know, like, and trust them and want to buy from them. They are looking and feeling and behaving like a legitimate packaged goods brand. If you're just selling stuff on Amazon, you're not doing that. You're missing out on opportunities to grow the business, yes, but also you're not providing a buyer with any reassurance that they're buying something with any longevity, any sustainability. You're not de-risking it for the buyer. We come back to our pyramid. Buyers are interested in de-risking the acquisition, and your job is to de-risk it for them by building in growth opportunities, and building as many touch points as possible to acquire more and more customers. At the minute, this other business, this weak one here, this weak business here has not de-risked it because literally everything is just reliant. What if Amazon suspends these listings tomorrow, right? There's nothing there. And I doubt that they're selling through their own website. So that's just one example of the power of brand, okay? So we've looked at the actual numbers, and there we've looked at some tangible examples to try and help you think about what this looks like in practice. I would also encourage you to look up my old brand, Beast Gear. I would just say if you see anything on Amazon that looks pretty terrible, that's because the new owners have screwed it up. But if you look at our old website, that gives you some pretty good examples of how a simple e-commerce business can look and feel and behave like a legitimate brand. Okay, so you might be saying, yeah, Ben, my brand already rocks. I'm like El Gato. Okay, brilliant. Well, how do you sell it then? You use a qualified brokerage, okay? You work with experts who have lived experience on all sides. They ideally need to be business owners, mergers and acquisitions experts, and accountants who will work with you until you're ready to sell the business, not the other way around. They're not going to tell you, oh, yeah, flip your business with us. We'll have the money in your bank account in 30 days. And they're going to work with you to get your business built to sell and ready for a buyer to analyze it. And that might take 6 months, it might take 9 months, it might take 24 months. You need to be patient and plan the exit. And the right brokerage will calculate the numbers and add value. Their job is to be a positive return on investment, position the business properly, market it to the right buyers, and help you structure the deal to suit you. So you got to plan ahead. Right? The worst thing you can do is not plan for an eventual exit, even if it isn't currently on your agenda. You need to find out what your business is worth now, then reverse engineer the exit with suitably qualified experts. The number one mistake people make is they don't plan. They just wake up one day and say, oh, I want to sell. And then they end up selling their business for some awful multiple, like 2x on some terrible flipping website, because they haven't taken their business seriously. We all hire experts to help us in our businesses. We hire pay-per-click experts, we hire legal experts, lawyers, we hire photographers, we hire translators, we hire copywriters, we hire coders and developers. So why would you not work with an expert when it comes to your most valuable asset, which is your business? So thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And if anyone wants to watch something funny to give them a little bit of light relief while they're working away, taking a coffee break after this webinar, go to our website, EcomBrokers.co.uk, and watch a movie. We made some funny videos to explain some potentially dry and boring topics. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great. It was great. So you think that people should contact the broker from the beginning, from their first sales? Like
not the very beginning, no. You need to be doing for
I'm sorry, can you stop sharing the presentation so that people see our faces?
No problem, yeah.
That's good.
I would talk to a broker. It depends, okay? So realistically, you need to think that one day you're going to sell your business, but there's not really any value in talking to a broker from day one. But I would have an initial conversation when you might feel like you're 18 to 24 months out. And that conversation might just be a half-hour chat where you get a bit of advice. Or it might end up for instance, with us, we have a mentoring program. So we'll take people in and they become mentored clients, we'll literally mentor them on a route to an exit. 2 years is probably a bit far out for that. We normally work with people sort of 6 to 18 months out for that, really. But I would just have a conversation with somebody as far out as 2 years, but that's the top end. 12 to 18 months from when you think you want to exit is about right.
Cool. And what do you think about now? I think because of the recession, a lot of people think this is not the right time. This is not the right time. I just need to make profits and think about it in the future.
Yep, I would say 2022 is tough. 2023 is also going to be a buyer's market. However, it depends. If you have a great brand with a strong brand identity, then you're basically sidestepping the market because there's still great multiples available for your business. If you have a good business, you can still sell it for a really great deal. If you don't, though, now is the time to double down on developing your brand identity, focusing on profitability, well, not sacrificing growth, and ensuring that the business has plenty of growth opportunities for a buyer. Basically, looking at the 7 foundations of value and the value pyramid that I showed earlier, and asking yourself the honest question as to whether your business really stacks up in terms of that.
Yeah, when I asked this question, I was thinking more about the traction. So usually for investors and for the buyers, the traction of your growth is very important. And now because of 2022 and probably 2023 for a big amount of businesses, the traction like stopped. It was growing very fast and now a little bit stopped.
Yeah.
And so can it be
Can be recovered?
Difficulty for having a good price because of the traction?
Yes, it can. Yeah. You know, ideally you want to be growing at least 20% year on year, and aggregators get excited when it's more like 30% year on year, at least. And when that growth has started to plateau or even declined, it's difficult to attract a buyer. So for a lot of business owners out there, they are simply going to need to recover, and they will. The situation will improve. Nevertheless, we are seeing businesses which you would call a distressed asset, which has seen a reduction in their growth, maybe gone into a plateau. We're seeing them sell. The caveat there is they're not selling for strong multiples because buyers are seeing an opportunity to take a distressed business and then improve it. And the only people that are going to sell their business in that situation are people who just want out. And we do see that happen. So if you're in that position, yes, you can sell your business, but it won't be for the kind of money that you would have got, 2 years ago.
Okay. So, and how long does it usually take to sell a business?
Well, that depends. So, there are some people out there that will lie to you and say, oh, it takes 30 days, which is just ridiculous. Yeah. That's not how we conduct a mature mergers and acquisitions process. It depends what you're defining as your start point. If you define it as when you go to market, well, how quickly can you find the buyers? Sometimes it's very quick. It's a matter of days. And buyers are very interested and they'll submit letters of intent. Other times it takes weeks or months to find the right buyer. But once you found the right buyer, due diligence, we're talking 45 to 70 days. Soft negotiation around the LOI is going to be a week. And then after due diligence, negotiation around the share purchase agreement is going to be a couple of weeks again. So from a buyer being interested to a deal being done could be as quick as 3 months. So that would be about right. And anyone saying that they can sell your business in some record amount of time is just lying.
No. And what about the payment? So is there any risks about the receiving the payment, how the payment is done usually? And is there any payment protection solutions or something like this?
Yeah, sure. So typically payment is held in escrow. So you might use an independent escrow service such as escrow.com, or the
Mm-hmm.
payment will be held in escrow with your attorney. So the buyer will wire the money to your attorney, and after it has been confirmed that you have transferred the business to the buyer. So for instance, that could be access to your website, to bank accounts, to platforms like Amazon, Walmart, all these things. Then the attorney will release the funds. So that protects both the buyer and the seller.
Okay, understood. Okay, cool, wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing the insights with us.
Pleasure.
As always, at the end, I am asking about 3 short takeaways. Maybe let's do it two short takeaways. What to do to make your business sellable and sell it for a huge amount of the money. 2 short takeaways.
Sure. First one would be to focus on brand, build a legitimate brand identity that looks and feels and behaves like a real CPG brand. So look at your favorite brands and apply what they do to what your business does. Focus on thinking about who is your customer, what problems do they have, how can we solve those problems, and how can we provide them with helpful, compelling, engaging, useful information so that they know, like, and trust us and want to buy from us and they become our fans. The second is focus on growth and profitability. Buyers want to buy a business that is growing, but it's also got lots of growth potential. So leave opportunities for a buyer. Could be to add new products, expand into new markets, add new sales channels. And profitability, right? Your EBITDA or SDE margins going to need to be at least 20%. So make sure that your business is at least that profitable. If it's not, look at how you can reduce your COGS and how you can add more profitable products into your product offering. Focus on those 2 things and you'll be in a good place.
Cool, wonderful. What about the 2 don'ts? Like, don't do this,
Sure,
never.
yeah. Don't engage in anything black hat. So, buying reviews or trying to game the Google rankings through black hat SEO strategies or anything like that. Simply don't do it. And don't forget to strengthen your intellectual property position with trademarks and patents.
Okay, cool. And so the last question, as always, is how to be successful in life in general. Two takeaways for us.
Be authentic. If you be authentic, then there is no competition because there's no one else like you and no other brand like your brand. So I would say be authentic in the way you present your business, the way you present yourself, your relationships with customers, suppliers, service providers, anyone that you're interacting with, and you'll go far.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's absolutely great.
Cool.
So, anything you want to say to the visitors?
Sure. Well, I hope you found this helpful and useful. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can. My email address is ben@ecombrokers.co.uk. Our website is ecombrokers.co.uk. It's a UK domain, but we work all over the world, including we have a deal director, John, in Chicago. And on social media, my handle is Ben Leonard Pro. Look me up on any of the social media platforms, you'll find me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
So for everybody, as always, we in WAPI are doing everything that we can to help you grow your business, share with you new webinars, new info, and as always, we are happy to help you with fulfillment all over the Europe, storing, picking, packing, and delivering your goods, and a lot more. So please stay tuned, stay with us, and wish everybody good luck. Stay tuned. See you next Thursday.
Cheers.